realistic like the real flower. And for the crown parts, which is used as the stigma for this plant, and this this is the fully assembled set 10368 Chrysanthemum. This flower looks really amazing. The designer used several types, I would say 3 different colored bananas parts to represent the petals of the chrysanthemum. Look, they look very realistic like the real flower. And for the smaller flower, they use this type of parts, which is usually to represent tusks or bones on certain animals, or maybe like in skeleton on some of the LEGO themes. And for the really small flower, like still in buds, they use this part, which is sort of like a cupcake mold, which you can find mostly on the LEGO Friends set. And don't forget, the pot here is quite nice to look at. It is like oriental style, maybe because the chrysanthemum flower is quite familiar in the oriental, in maybe China, Japan, or other part of Asia, Far East, and maybe Southeast Asia as well. And for some of the things that we dislike is as you can see here. I'm not sure whether you can. I'll just move it closer. We can still see these light yellow parts. The color still shown here, also in here. And if you notice closely, the LEGO Technic pins, the gray color can be seen here, and here, the light gray color. So we wonder if only the LEGO group will create this Technic pin using another color, let's say green color, so it can be better camouflage, because it will look like the stem. It will be nice. And okay, don't forget there's a leaf here, which looks quite well real, because it really used like a leaf parts, 2 different parts. And yeah, we also like this yellow parts on the pot. Look nice. So if it's only like in a sand color, it will look a bit boring, but with these yellow horizontal lines, golden, not yellow, sorry, this gold line is actually made from, is it tiles? No, it's not tiles. This gold colored parts looks amazing. Anyway, before we go into the cherry blossom set, I would like to mention that we are going to compare this flower with the LEGO Orchid and the tiny plants, so you can see better on the size comparisons. Alright, let us move to the Plum Blossom set. Okay, what we have here is the set 10369 Plum Blossom, which looks very colorful with the bright red color. And as you can see, this is the crown part, which is used as the stigma for this plant, and this rounded part to represent the petals, because cherry blossom has rounded petals. And here is the buds of the cherry blossoms. This is even the more smaller buds. And similarly with the chrysanthemum flower, we have an oriental style pot, which is in I think this is blue or light gray. I think this is sort of bluish gray color, and also with these golden strips here. And on this set we have this rounded 1x1 parts to represent soils, perhaps. So we have quite a lot of these rounded parts here, which is filled to the brim. We just have to be careful to move it, so we don't let this part to fall down. And let's see. Okay, one of the several negative things on this set is when we move it, we rotate it this way, the flower doesn't look as good as when we see it from the front. Let me move it closer. So it's not as good as when we rotate it like this. So we can only display it not in a 3D or 360 degree, maybe only 180 degrees. Like this, or like this. We cannot display like this, or maybe like this, because it's quite unsightly. And don't forget, when you rotate it this way, there's a lot of this gray colored pin, which doesn't look that good unless the Lego group created in brown color, in dark brown, like the stem here, or maybe the branches. If we move it this way, okay, the parts we cannot see the part, but from the back is quite unsightly. Gray. Okay, not that good. So we can only display it from the front. This is quite a nice plum blossom. Let us compare it with the cherry blossoms. This is from the cherry blossom set. We could not really compare it like this. Why? Because this cherry blossom have not fully bloomed. This plum blossoms is already fully bloomed. This one is not yet. We can only compare with this part here, which is still in buds. Well, actually this is already starting to bud. This part here still a small bud. This is just going to bud, and this one is already going to bloom. So we wonder whether the Lego group will create a fully bloomed cherry blossom in the future, so we can place it next to this plum blossom set. That will be great to look at. Anyway, for the next part, we will show you the comparison of these two newest sets with the orchid and the tiny plants. As you can see, we have placed the Lego orchid in the center between the chrysanthemum and plum blossom. As you can see, the size of the orchid sets dwarfs the two newer sets. But of course, the Lego group introduced these two sets, the chrysanthemum and the plum blossoms, for people that don't want to spend too much time building the set like this Lego orchid, maybe for more casual builder. But still, these two flowers looks very amazing. When you compare to the orchid, they doesn't look, they look as great as this Lego orchid. And we think that the scale between these three flowers are quite realistic. But when we compare with the set tiny plants, the tiny plants looks too small. Of course, because these tiny plants are the miniaturized version of the real plants, so they look a lot smaller. Let me place them all in front of, okay, you cannot see it from here. Just place more on the side. Okay. It doesn't look as big as the real flowers, but still looks colorful and nice for display. Well, we still have a couple more Lego botanical sets, but by showing you this should be sufficient as a comparisons. So for us, we really love these two new flowers, and it will be a nice addition to our collections. So hopefully this can provide you insight of these two new sets. And if you like flowers or any flowers, whether it's a real or from Lego, you definitely wouldn't want to miss these two newer flowers. Alright then, I'll just wrap it up, and I hope you like the review of these two flowers, and we see you again on our next videos. Bye bye!